Well, it's time for episode 311 of the 3 Point Podcast, presented by the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. Make sure you check out memorialhealthcare.org for details on everything they offer, including kids swimming lessons and so much more. I also want to thank our other great sponsors: AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. Guys, I got a question that I was thinking about. I just wanted to bring up on the table. Real simple question to answer. If you had to pick a month out of the year, would you pick May, or would you pick, let's say, September 15th to October 15th? What would you pick?
Well, so you're saying you can basically any 30-day stretch of the year.
Any 30-day stretch, yeah.
And for what? Like
mostly weather. For weather.
I was going to say the sports calendar, or just weather and everything in general.
Weather for this question. Because my wife, she started to go the fall route because of football, and I said, well,
yeah, just
go weather.
If it's just weather, then, well, I don't know. That's like the easy question is, July or June. To me, I like the spring. There's something in the air, even though not every day is a great day. Mm-hmm. Just being out of the winter thaw, it makes those sunny days feel like it's like heaven on earth. It really is how it feels sometimes.
Yeah, there is always, every year, like you said, every year when spring rolls around, it's just you're rejuvenated. It's tough. Like I would say, Michigan Julys are fantastic. North Carolina Julys, while I love summer, man, it is hot as hell and humid, and it's pretty hot down here in July. So it depends on where you're at. But that stretch from like mid to late August till, if you're doing 30 days to mid-September in Michigan is pretty hard to beat. Or even, like you said, September to October, right? Mid-September to mid-October. That's tough to beat because you'll get some cooler nights. So that's nice. But then you'll still get those 60, 70 degree days. That's tough to beat.
Yeah. Well, the reason I brought it up is I think about this almost every year, and my choice is May. I love May. The weather's nice, not too hot. You don't have the mosquitoes yet. Yep. You get some decent days, some beautiful sunny days, and the temps are in the 70s. For me, it's the month of May, baby.
Month of May is nice. The only thing, like Ted and I, you and I were talking before we started recording, before Jared hopped on. Sounds like, and I know from talking to family and stuff too, Michigan's having a fantastic May so far. Yep. We're only 5 days in, but maybe a little unseasonably warm for Michigan because you've been out on the pontoon already almost more than you have been in a whole previous year. So
multiple times, yeah.
Right. I mean that's tough to beat right there when people are out golfing already. Jared, you've been on the course a handful of times already. Like that does make it tough to beat. But the amount of rain sometimes, like you do get stretches of 3-4 days straight rain. That can be depressing a little bit, but
the one thing I will say about the pontoon note is it's kind of like a statistical outlier because generally in this month his boat is having repairs done. So this is one year that's not the case. So you almost got to throw that statistic out of the window.
Oh,
but
Jared,
I agree.
Hey, the outlier year still counts. It still counts,
right? He's got a lot of use out of it, so just keep it going strong. I still got to make my way out there yet this year, so it's May. You can't beat May. I mean, to me, I'm already in summer mode. To be honest, it's not like I'm following a schoolboy calendar. Once the weather turns, I think we officially made it through kind of the spring type weather where it was cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Now it's just kind of hot. It's summertime. It's the best time of year.
Yeah, you can't beat it. I mean, once the golf courses, everything starts to actually turn green. You're past, like you said, you're past the gross brown winter grass, and they've actually started cutting the grass, and like Ted, you got the pontoons good to go. Everything's cleared off. You're ready to go. You said you told me you're having people over and stuff. Right. So you're already like full summer mode. You're like full summer mode already.
Absolutely.
Didn't even have to wait for Memorial Day.
Exactly. I mean, you're talking about the rain too. Yeah, sometimes the rain's a bummer, but it doesn't usually stay around that long, and it does greens up everything. That's the other nice thing. So
yeah, it's not bad. So you mentioned mosquitoes, and that's always a big part too of this. Yeah, this stretch. If there's the mosquitoes haven't come out. How bad? So this is, I wasn't expecting to bring this up, but it's a big topic down here right now. the cicadas.
Yeah.
How bad are they up in Michigan? Because I think everyone knows they're traditionally, I guess, worse in the South. But I'm telling you right now, here in Charlotte, in North Carolina, if you walk outside, it's like you have the soundtrack of cicadas on your phone, like straight into your ear. Like it's visibly loud, or audibly, not visibly, audibly loud when you walk outside. Like to the point we were running a couple errands today, and I had the sunroof open on our car. When we stopped at a stop sign, my daughter was like, "What is that sound?" And my wife and I, we were like, "It's the cicadas. Yeah. They're up there." And I mean, it was like they were in our car. It's just crazy. Are they that bad up in Michigan?
No, not at all. I mean, I don't even think they're expected to hit Michigan this year. I was looking at the map. I think it's the farthest it's going to get is Illinois. It has been in Michigan before, but I don't think we're going to get this batch.
Yeah, I remember a few, it would have been like 5 years ago at this point when I was working in Grand Rapids, and some of those schools on the west side, it'd be like, we can't play football at our field because it's like overwhelmed with cicadas. We were kind of reminiscing about golf, or talking about how I've been able to play golf a few times this year. I just wanted to, not necessarily even a story, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to a famous course down here. Not really even famous, I would say, but last week I kind of ripped on a historical building, as you know, the White House. So I wanted to give some kudos to a historical golf course.
Kind of. I'm pretty sure you called it like overrated trash.
Tear it down.
I think the quote I used was, similar to Batman Begins, how he rebuilt the Wayne Manor brick by brick, and he's be disassembled brick by brick. I think it's exactly the words.
Okay.
Anyway, so Rackham Golf Course. So this is a golf course that's in Royal Oak. As you guys know, it's been a kind of recurring segment really on this podcast over the last couple of years, is the long waits I've had at courses, the expensive rounds, how basically to play golf anymore, you got to pay $60-$70. That's anywhere you go, whether it's a nice course, whether it's a shitty course. Then I found this almost somewhat of a diamond in the rough. So I'm golfing with some buddies at work this past Thursday, and I didn't know anything. My buddy lived in Royal Oaks. Like, yeah, let's go play here. Rackham, sure, I'll go. I show up at this place. Right when you pull in, there's old water fountains with lions on it. This clubhouse looks like it was built in like 1900 with like ceramic tile roofing and like brick out exterior with these magical patterns all over it. And then I walk in, it's like right as you walk in, there's a historical marker that you read. So the course was basically built in 1923 is when it was built, opened in 1925. Basically, the people that owned this land were Horace and Mary Rackham. And there was one of the first 18-hole courses constructed in Michigan. Basically, they were like philanthropists. They were like, all of these courses around us are, private. We want to make a public course that anybody can go play on. Wouldn't you know it, 10 years later, it's one of the first, integrated courses where, African-American golfers are playing. Like Joe Louis played there. The Temptations, when they were kids, played there. Basically it's like one of the first integrated courses in the country. And as you're going around this course, it's designed by, God damn it, why am I blanking on this effer's name? Famous course architect, designed Pinehurst No. 2.
Trent Jones.
No, what in the hell is this damn guy's name? Dude, I know this guy's name like it's like the most obvious name of all time. I just can't think. I'm going too fast in the pod. Anyway,
I just heard his name because that's where the U.S. Open is this year, and it's here in North Carolina. And I just heard his name too.
I'll look it up when you guys take it over from me after this. But anyway, so basically this course is this like perfect gem of a course right in the middle of downtown Royal Oak, 10 minutes from downtown Detroit. And it just blew me away. What's the name?
Donald Ross.
Yes, Donald Ross.
Yeah.
Legendary course architect. You're going on this course, like link style course, beautiful bunkering all around it. And they keep it cheap on purpose, and they keep it public on purpose. There's been a million chances for them to make it a private course. They never have. It's basically, I think it's a part of the city of Royal Oak or Huntington Woods, whatever it is right there. The Detroit Zoo is literally next door. I'm not kidding you. Hole 17, you're playing. You look to your left, there's giraffes looking over the wall at you in the golf course.
Wow.
Like, in this course, it's not the most well-maintained. Like, it's honestly how I would describe it. If they took good care of this course, it would be $100 round. And it would be private. Nobody would be able to play it. But that's not what the course is about. So basically, I just want to say in a time since COVID, when basically golf is in the shitter, you can't play anywhere without spending, $70. The courses are flooded. This is a course that I just really appreciated the history of it. And I just was really kind of blown away by it. Even not for the normal reasons you're blown away by a course. It was weird. It was like I was walking, this is stupid. It was like I was walking on Augusta. It's like you almost feel the history kind of in each step. And the clubhouse is something out of a movie. I took a bunch of pictures of it. I just loved it. So I just felt the need to share that course. If you're in the Detroit area, I would definitely recommend at least checking it out one time. I mean, I paid $30 for a round of 18 in a cart. That's unheard of. That's unheard of. You pay more in Corunna to play basically 9 holes.
And the other bonus for you right now, it's like 10, 15 minutes away from where you're living, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And what's cool about it is like if you watched the US Open a couple years ago when it was at Los Angeles Country Club where it's like houses all around it. Like this is like a course in the middle of a neighborhood. People are walking around it. Like dogs are everywhere, houses, people are sitting on their house watching you golf. The highway, actually 696 is right on the other side. Apparently in 2007 when 696 was built, they lost like 20 acres of this course for the highway to run right by it. So kind of a shame not to be able to see it and what it once was. The 20 acres lost is a lot of land.
Yeah.
But I was just blown away by it. So a positive story from the golf course. I wish I played a good golf round to talk about that. But no, it was an awesome place. Definitely worth checking out.
No, that's cool. And it makes me want to check out, go to the website and check it out. Or you should send a couple of the pictures of the clubhouse that you took, because I'd be very curious to see it.
I'll show you guys one just for reference, and people watching can see what this course is. Give me 2 seconds and I'll
but it's cool. The history alone. I mean, you saying that history, how the integration with the legends and just all the history that goes behind everything you laid out there makes it super cool. Like you said, to be walking on there and think about the people that played there. And there is something to be said about people thinking about keeping the course public, because like you said, look at this. Spin your phone sideways.
Turn it the other way. There you go.
I'm trying here. It's kind of confusing.
Oh,
that's just look at one little look at the clubhouse.
Nice.
And it's freaking unbelievable.
That's cool.
Just really blew me away.
Yeah. I'd be curious to go look up some more pictures of it.
$30 too. $30.
So right, like you go into it, I mean, it's we don't need to get into like inflation or whatever that ridiculous topic that is people talk about ad nauseum right now. But if you pay $30 for a round of golf, you have to have a certain set of expectations. It's not going to be maintained like Augusta, like you said, but they at least take care of it so you can enjoy your round of golf.
Right.
It's not a trash heap. You're not like playing in the middle of a cornfield or something. But to think that they kept it that way for that listen to the experience that you just had. If they had 10, 15, 20 years ago made it private, made it $150, $180 a round, you wouldn't have played there probably. So,
no.
It's cool that they do that. And hopefully the big thing is that you always hope is that people take care of it. They're keeping it cheaper for people to be able to go there and play. So don't go there and trash it. Don't go there and, if you miss a putt, use your putter on the green and tear up the green. Don't drive your cart across the green. It's always, so it's cool that the owners did that, kept it public, kept it cheap. So now it's on the patrons to keep it nice so they can keep it that way. So that's a cool story. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, when you first were starting to talk about it, I was thinking of a different course in the Royal Oak area right on 12 Mile, I think it is, where it's got like a green fence that goes all around it. I don't know what the name of that course is.
Plum Hollow?
That might be it.
Not it. I don't think that's on 12 Mile. Anyway, yeah, okay. I know what course you're talking about. I'm sure it's a private course.
Looked like a private one.
They will play it, but...
Well, very cool, man.
Yeah, that's a cool story.
All right, fellas, let's keep this podcast rolling along. We'll be right back after this with the Prep Spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance Agency.
Jacobs Insurance Agency has served Shiawassee County and the surrounding areas since 1977. Just like 3 Point Podcasts, we've had 3 generations: Gary Jacobs Sr., Gary Jacobs II, Brian Jacobs, and myself, Noah Jacobs, serving our community with offices in Waterford and Owasso on M21, just west of Home Depot. Stop in or go online to jacobsinsurance.com to get a quote or get your questions answered by our team. Jacobs Insurance is a proud supporter of our local schools and the proud sponsor of the Prep Spotlight. Insure everything, local, independent, and trusted. It's our family working together to protect yours. That's the Jacobs way.
All right, guys, we'll start this part out with, I meant to mention it last week. This is the Prep Spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance, but the Fattel family, we have a little scholarship that's part of the Corona Foundation, and the Fattel family scholarship was given out to Brevin Belor, the 3-point artist and top 10 student. Got himself $1,500 and well deserved, and use it on his way to college. So congratulations to Brevin.
Nice.
Also, we talk about it every week, and we're going to keep talking about in track and field. The Corona boys ruled the Cavalier Classic in record-setting style. As you know, I was over there for a portion of it, and definitely was impressed by how good this track team is. The Cavs set 2 new school records, as Wyatt Bauer's now the king of the 200, running the race in 21.96 seconds. Corona also set a new school record in the 4x100 relay. Wyatt, his bro Tarek, Isaac Jacobs, and Oda Wilkerson finished at 42.6 seconds. Tarek took the 100 and the long jump. Jaden Eddington, he's a running back in football and a linebacker, but he's a hell of a shot putter too. He has a new meet record, 50 foot 5 inches. Kenny Evans won the mile, and the Bauer boys, along with Jacobs, teamed with Logan Herrick to win the 4x200. So, again, I mean, we seem to talk about it every week, but they're well on their way to a potential back-to-back state championship in track. Man, it's just impressive.
Yeah, it's hard not to think that they wouldn't be the favorites to go back-to-back, and then you have to wonder what kind of individual state championships they're going to rack up. They're breaking every record possible, it seems like. So they've got to be gearing up for that.
It's been a while since I've been to a track meet. When I ran track, it was cinder blocks or cinder track. So that's how long ago that was. But they really have come a long way with their timing. It's all computer generated timing. Where in my day it was all stopwatch stuff.
I mean this in the nicest way possible. Those track meets back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, those must have been like just circuses. Probably no real organization. And man, kudos to you for running in those meets. Giving it your all. And the 800, right?
The 800, man, it was brutal.
The 800's a tough one.
It is, especially when you kick in the last 200, and you just want to puke afterwards, no doubt about it. But my point I was going to make is it's been a while since I've been to a track meet, and it's first class. There's these tents popped up everywhere. The different schools has their own tents. But the thing that was impressive to me, they call it, I think it was called adaptive races, where the mentally and physically challenged students get to participate against their own. I mean, it was really cool to see, it's nice that they can be included.
For sure. Yeah. It's always cool to see stuff like that they don't have to make it like some completely different event or something. They're just a part of the same track meet as everyone else is.
Yeah. They just put them in their own separate category, but they feel part of the team. And even one girl, they had one wheelchair girl. She did the 100 all by herself. And,
nice.
You wouldn't believe the ovation she got. It was very impressive.
That's cool.
So kudos, man. The Cavs ran a good track meet there. Also, speaking of track, Ovid-Elsie won the Marauders Lions Club invite, winning 7 events, dominating the field events. Cohen Brown won the shot put. Brock Spitzley took the discus. They also won the high jump. Chasen Thornton won the pole vault. Travis Milner the long jump. And at Dryden, Logan Smith set a new Oriole record for Morris, record in the 110 meters. And Perry's Jake Adams and Chandler Webb won the high jump and pole vault in that event. In baseball, Langsburg swept Bass 6-2 and 3-1 as star Ty Randall. He made his return to the mound. We talked about him before as he's coming off Tommy John surgery, but he played some infield before this week, and he actually got back on the mound, retired the 6 batters he faced, striking out 3. So it's good to see he's on the road to recovery. Speaking of Langsburg, man, what a softball squad they got this year. We've talked about this too. Now they're 19-1. They swept Rudyard 16-0, 12-0. Chesaning swept Merrill. New Lothrop won 2 doubleheaders this last week over Mount Morris and Waverly. This is back to you, Jared. Golf. Owasso took home the Phillips Cup over Corona at the Owasso Country Club. And we've talked about the Owasso Country Club before. That's just a nice old style golf course. But Owasso beat Corona 246-251. Ryan Dahl and Owen Feldposh led the way, shooting par 71 in the 2-man best ball. Dahl, Feldposh, and John Mazza each shot 38 in their tri-meet win over Linden and Clio earlier in the week. So the Trojans boys golf team, they're shooting some pretty solid scores. 3 guys, 38.
I never lost to a Wasso in anything but golf. God, they spanked us in golf every year, man. They had, Jalen Weekly was, I think, 1,000-point scorer in basketball. Dude, he could freaking golf. So we were always matched up against him, and he used to spank us, man, religiously.
So congratulations to the Trojans there. And back to Langsburg for a moment. Langsburg shut out Dansville 5-0. The Pack have outscored CMAC competition now 42-0 on the season. So they're having a pretty good spring sports season over there, aren't they? Anything on Perry that I might have missed, Matt? You got anything on the Perry baseball team?
Yeah, I was going to say Langsburg's just got a all around pretty great, pretty solid sports program. Boys, girls, sports all around. I know Perry, they split. You brought up Dansville. I know a couple days ago they split a doubleheader with Dansville. One of my buddies lives now in the Dansville area. His kids go to Dansville, and he said that Dansville has a starting pitcher committed to West Virginia, throws in the upper 90s apparently.
Oh, wow.
So impressive for Perry to split the doubleheader, with a pretty good Dansville squad.
I had to guess they probably lost the one that he pitched and probably won the one that he didn't pitch.
Yeah. But yeah, I just remember there was a kid for when I played in high school, there was a kid from Mount Pleasant. I think he ended up going to play at Syracuse, but he threw in the mid upper 90s. And, most high schoolers, this back in my day anyway, 20 years ago, if you touched the 80s and got into the 80s, that you were a good high school pitcher. Most people were in the upper 70s, maybe low 80s. You go in there against someone who's throwing mid 90s. It was like, oh, let me take a couple pitches first and kind of
petrified.
Time this thing up a little bit.
What's the fastest either one of you guys have been on the radar gun at different events? Have you ever had yourself measured?
I remember when I was a kid, I was probably 5th grade, and I went to a Tigers game, and you think you're throwing 70, you never have really been at a radar gun. And I remember with my buddies, they have the radar gun at the Tigers game, in the concourse.
Yeah,
I unloaded one as fast as I could. It was I think it was 35 miles an hour. I think it's the only time I ever had it rated. And I remember you ruined the whole game. It's dude, it was a jarring realization at how slow I threw.
That's pretty funny. You must have missed the dial or something. I have to think that you could throw faster than 35.
I would think so.
Dude, I don't know. Maybe the thing was off by a few miles per hour, but regardless, essentially what you're saying is even if it was maybe 45 is how fast that ball went.
Right.
So
that's
it's
true.
Just laughable. And then you're also comparing yourself to Little League World Series. These guys are throwing 70 in the Little League World Series.
I think even when I was in my prime, I think I did it one time and maybe it was 60 or 65. Thought I was throwing it just bullets,
Yeah, it always feels a lot faster. They had a setup there was always one of them set up in Bristol up on ESPN's campus,
right?
And they'd use it for different TV segments or whatever. So we'd go over there and throw. I could get into the low 70s, and this was, I was up there 15 years after high school. So I played I was playing slow pitch softball, but I wasn't throwing very consistently in baseball. But I would get into 73, 74. And then I would not be able to throw for 2 weeks afterwards because you're blowing your shoulder out. But
right.
I always, maybe like Jared's self-confidence there before he threw 35. I always felt like I could throw pretty fast. I was never really a junk pitcher. It was just all fastballs.
Where'd you play? What position did you play in baseball?
I played shortstop in center field.
Okay.
Yeah, so I stopped pitching about freshman, sophomore year of high school and just stuck to the field. And
we all know about Jared's excursion in baseball.
Right.
Get the merry-go-round going.
Yeah. I will say there's nothing like the rush of pitching in baseball. Yep. That's the number one, maybe even more than quarterback. You control the game. It's 100% on you. That's what I always loved about it. And also hated about it when you give up when you lose the game for your team. But that's what was magical about that sport. And
when you lose the game and you're Little League and you're bawling your eyes out because you just lost the game for your team.
Right.
You can't live that down,
man.
All right, boys. Good segment. This has been the Prep Spotlight. For all your insurance needs, definitely check out the folks at Jacobs Insurance Agency. They'll definitely hook you up with a good deal. All right, we'll be right back. We'll talk about a variety of different sports topics right after this. All right, let's just start with the Kentucky Derby. Jared, I'll give you some credit. You had 2 horses that you gave a tip on, but you did have one of them. The winner, Mystic Dan, won the 150th race over Sierra Leone and Forever Young. was a hell of a finish, man. It's one of the best photo finishes I've seen in a long time. But good call on Mystic Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't win any money off of it. I didn't bet it. God, yeah, it sucked, man. I don't know. As soon as I saw him, I didn't even watch the race. I was golfing.
Right.
And then I saw he won. I was kind of pissed. Like, God damn it. It's like, dude, why did I not just throw $5?
Right.
I was going to bet on it. I fired up. It's like we were talking about Twin Spires before this. I fired up Twin Spires.
Right.
And I didn't remember my password. And so I was like, oh, fuck it. I'm not even going to bet it.
Right.
Probably lost 100. I would have at least thrown a $5 bet on Mystic Dan at 20 to 1. I mean, that's $120 right there, or $100. So, yeah, it's like, well, what an all-time race. I mean, the big thing this year was, I mean, no Baffert.
Right.
Obviously, there's a big controversy surrounding him from the, stuff in the past couple of years. Apparently, the reason he didn't run, this is from Randy Moss, big went on Part of My Take and explained this. Essentially, he basically was not reinstated this year when he was supposed to because he, quote-unquote, wasn't sorry enough about his, things that he did. And apparently, the Kentucky Derby didn't want the 150th Kentucky Derby to be about Bob Baffert's return.
Right.
So what a great race it was. I mean, like I said, the photo finish, I mean, masterfully ridden by Brian Hernandez, the jockey. It's like you would have thought he'd won 3 or 4 Kentucky Derbies the way he rode that race. But I was really impressed with the trainer. Let me make sure I got his name right. Ken McPeak. They interviewed him like before he even knew whether he officially had won the Derby or not. And just his first opening line, it cracked me up. He's like, yeah, I think we won. But, I mean, knowing this sport, you don't take anything for granted. I just thought that was a hilarious line. And I was really impressed with his interview. I mean, just what a great event every year. The photos you see from it, the overhead camera that they'll post, 3 or 4 hours after the race, showing the entire race and how the horse ran it. It's like, it's mystifying. That is one of the big events I still have on the bucket list, man. I got to make it to it. We've talked about it again and again, but yeah, just what an awesome event. 150th Derby, photo finish. You can't write a better script.
Well, and you guys are in TV, but I thought this year's NBC coverage was spectacular. I mean, they had a whole lot of great backstories because it was the 150th. And I thought they did a really good job. They usually do, but it was extra special, I thought.
Yeah, they've got the Derby down to a science. Basically, they knocked that out. They should never lose the rights to the Kentucky Derby because that's just NBC's event. Kind of like the Olympics or whatever.
Right.
But you talk about the photo finish. The photo that, there's the famous like Secretariat photo, it's like the camera's like in the dirt looking up at the horses. Right. And they have this one from this race and it's right at the finish. It's seriously like one of the cooler sports photos you'll ever see. Cooler than from the Super Bowl or NBA finals, some of all the all-time great sports photos. The one looking up at the horses when they're just lunging and they're about to cross the finish line is seriously really it's almost like you said, mystifying, magical, whatever word you want to use. And like I saw that this was the nose to nose finish, like you guys are talking about. You almost think that it happens often. I saw this was the first one since 1996.
Yeah,
that was nose to nose like this. And when I saw that, I was like, really? It seems like that happens every couple of years. You have one of those that's like really bang bang, but apparently not. And while it's amazing, Kentucky Derby's awesome. You guys are spot on everything you said. It's hard for me not to think like, the excitement dies a little bit when they have to go to the review to see who won. Because then, they're kind of trotting around, they're kind of excited, but they're waiting for the review. It makes it a little different than like the excitement after you win. But
you want the big crescendo from the play-by-play, or I don't even know what you call it. I should know his name because he's fucking incredible. But his like call it final call. Oh, it's a photo. It's a photo. We don't know who won. It's like you want him to just yell out, Mystic Dan or whoever won. I'm with you. The thing that was kind of weird about it, they waited a minute until they went to that replay to the point where it's like the writer, let me remember his name, Brian Hernandez, like he's looking up at the scoreboard. He's like, I just won the Kentucky Derby, like while they're shooting him because he's trotting around the track. It was just a surreal scene. But I was also impressed. Like, I always like kind of I don't know shit about horse racing, but one of my basic rules is I don't ever bet on horses that come from Japan or Saudi Arabia or overseas. They almost never seem to travel well. But I mean, one of the horses you threw out that was in that 3-way tie essentially was Forever Young, from Japan. So I thought that was pretty neat. Like, honestly, I don't know the stats and whether Japan horse. I don't think they've ever won this race. I thought he ran a great race. But I mean, we're talking about that jockey. I mean, the way that he had Mystic Dan, basically riding the rail the entire race, and you notice the other 2 horses that came down the stretch, how far outside they were and how many extra steps those horses probably took compared to Mystic Dan. I mean, that was the difference. what do you like? That's got to be the biggest rush of any. I mean, I'm gonna call a jockey an athlete. Being in that
Sure.
race for that 2 minutes, they are athletes. I mean, it's
Yeah,
freaking
they are.
impressive.
Oh yeah.
That 2 minutes got to be the number one, like 2 minutes in sports. Like when they're in that moment, I mean, it's got to be wild. I can't even imagine what's going through their mind during that race.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the energy you have. I mean, first of all, riding the horse, but then, I'd be curious if you can hear the crowd, when you're surrounded by 12 other horses or whatever galloping, that's probably about all you hear. And I bet they might even have just like earplugs in also. But no, I can't imagine the energy you have, especially if you start being like, we might win this thing. If you're coming around that final turn and you're like, oh, we got this. We're
Right.
in great position. All we got to do is kick it in right now, and we're about to win the Kentucky Derby. I can't imagine.
Well, I agree with you, and they are definitely athletes. I don't know about you guys. If you've ridden horses before, and just look at me, I'm bouncing up and down. When you watch those
You
guys
need to clip that
race,
off.
when you watch those guys race, their backs are just completely level and they're not moving at all. I mean, I don't even know how they do that.
I know.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
One other maybe thought on this whole thing that I was happy to see Fierceness, who I was kind of very anti before the race. He was the favorite at 5-2, owned by Body Armor owner Mike Rapoli. Not my favorite guy in horse racing. He kind of bursted onto the scene with all his billions of dollars and tried to basically buy himself a Kentucky Derby. He still hasn't done it. Acts like the whole sport revolves around him. I loved it. As soon as the race, I watched the replay. I didn't know what the hell happened until I watched the replays. Like, I want to see who wins this. Just pure. I'm gonna watch it like it's live. I watched him right up the gate. He like had the shittiest jump out of the very start, and that's what I'm thinking about. Like a jockey and the horse. Like, how do you stay calm in those gates before that opening bell rings? And that was the difference. If Fierceness gets out to a big jump at the start of that race, I don't think anyone touches him. But just a bad start, and basically the race was over for him as soon as it started. So
yeah. One final thing on the Derby. I probably knew this stat, but I just saw it on social media, and I thought, wow, this is pretty impressive. We all know about Secretariat, the greatest horse of all time. Holds the track record at all three Triple Crowns. But the second fastest time ever at the Kentucky Derby is the horse that took second to Secretariat, Sham, in 1973. Think about that one. I don't know what was going on in the early 70s, but the two fastest times at the Kentucky Derby ever was in the same race with Secretariat. So there you go.
And it sucks for that horse. It's like, you're over. You probably would have been the best horse ever if it wasn't for Secretariat.
Exactly. Right.
What is the deal? I should do some digging on Secretariat. Why was it so good? It was like, basically, it was like it was almost like a mutant type horse. It made no sense how it was like, it was just had like a heart size of a lion. I don't know. I'm just speaking gibberish, but how the hell was that horse so goddamn good?
He was big. I know it was a big horse, and you can tell the horses even when they come out for the Kentucky Derby. We always like to watch them when they walk by. You can see the horses that have the big muscles. And man, Secretariat was, for a horse, probably built as good as a horse could ever be built. That was the big thing, I would say. And then, he did just nudge out Sham at the Derby, but then he just completely blew out the field in the next two races. So I don't know.
I'm trying
to
find
where do we want to jump to next? Where do we want to go next, boys? Want to talk a little NBA playoffs?
Yeah, let's talk about the NBA. I mean, big game 7 was tonight. We're recording on Sunday.
Yep.
And kind of the sleeper series of if you're into the NBA playoffs, which I am, and we've talked about the NBA playoffs, but kind of the sleeper series of the first round was the one that finished up today, the Magic and the Cavs. The Magic, basically the youngest team in the league, youngest team in the playoffs anyway. Cavs are close to that. And, so two teams that maybe weren't expected to really do a whole lot as far as contend for a championship, but two really good young teams that played a super competitive series. And I don't know if you guys watched any of that game 7 today. I didn't watch the whole game, but I did watch a good chunk of it. I mean, it's just, we always talk about game 7s. Game 7s are always fun, especially when, they're played at a high level in the playoffs, whether it's hockey, basketball, whatever. And it was a great game. So the Cavs ended up winning. I don't think they're going to do much else in the playoffs, but, that series was fun. Celtics still seem like they're probably the favorite in the East, but the Knicks are playing really well too, because the Celtics are banged up. So the East is going to be interesting right now. I mean, the big story last night, Saturday night, was Ant Edwards for the Timberwolves. I mean, basically had his coming out, Michael Jordan, moment dropped
Yeah,
45 or whatever he scored on the Nuggets, and they went up 1-0 on the
Yep.
Nuggets. So that's kind of the big story right now. Actually, and I saw now that the Timberwolves are the betting odds to win the West just because of that one game.
Crazy.
So that's kind of a big story.
I mean, we talked about heading into these playoffs. I didn't think anybody was going to touch Nuggets. Anthony Edwards, did he break his hand last playoffs? I'm pretty sure he did, or right before, and maybe so they weren't quite the same unit that he was. But I mean, he's come out of nowhere and he's taken over this league. I mean, he is him, as they would say. I thought it was Jokic. Jokic's window might be closing. I mean, what the hell? Where has this guy come from? Shout out to Rocket. I mean, the Timberwolves are literally almost built to beat the Nuggets with the size they have, and Gobert and Cat, and then add in Anthony Edwards, who arguably is the best player in the league right now. It's crazy, and I think it's gonna be one hell of a series. I'm not ready to pencil them in as the champions,
right?
Or to win the West or to win this series even. But my God, what a statement that was, game number one. If Anthony Edwards can just do that every game, I mean, yeah, they're gonna march their way to the freaking. It's been unbelievable to watch him play, and the way he plays, man, he plays with heart, and he plays, with his emotions on his sleeve, and he's a leader to those guys. I mean, the way he's talking about Karl Anthony Towns in the post game, how he's got to stop fouling and all this stuff, seems like a true leader, and a guy you want to play behind. I mean, he plays his ass off on both sides of the ball, so just hard not to root for that guy, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have a favorite team, a team you're really rooting for right now. I know, Matt, you're a Lakers fan, so you can't root for them anymore. But I like the Knicks. I just like that New York's back in it. Brunson, I'm a big fan. I love the whole Villanova thing. It's cool to see New York back in the thick of things.
It is, even if I work with some buddies who are from, so that game where the Knicks finally finished off the Sixers, we were at work, and I was saying that exact same. I was like, yeah, but I'm not a Knicks fan, but the NBA playoffs are just better when the Knicks are in it. When you have those games at the Garden, it's just the legendary, even though the Knicks haven't won a title in a really long time, but they're the Knicks. They're like the Steelers in the NFL. They're like the Packers in the NFL. They're just a classic franchise in the NBA. So yeah, it is cool to see them back. Such a great strategy too. You mentioned the Villanova boys. Michigan fans don't like to hear it, but Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo, who all went to Villanova, won that title against Michigan back with Mo Wagner's team. It's such a great strategy by the Knicks to be like, hey, these guys. Well, obviously Brunson is an all-star. I mean, he's a legitimate MVP candidate type of player. But to think we've got these other two guys and Josh Hart and DiVincenzo, and be like, they played really well together in college. Why don't we bring them in and they can be the core of our team? Because they already have that, cohesion and all that stuff from playing at Villanova. They were coached by Jay Wright. So know that they're ready to play. You didn't think about it when they picked those guys up, but now that you're seeing it kind of come to fruition, it's like that was a really great strategy.
Is off the charts, and in a close series like the Sixers series, where I think they technically didn't even outscore the Sixers in that series. I think the Sixers beat them by 1 point through all 7 games, but they still won the series. It's funny you bring up that Michigan championship game, dude. I remember Brunson, coldest moment I've ever seen in my life in sports. It's right before halftime of that game. We're getting our balls blasted. Michigan, that is. It's 40 seconds left, first half. They roll the ball up the court so that they can get a 2-for-1 opportunity. Rolls all the way down to the logo. Brunson scoots up, doesn't even dribble, buries a 3 without even blinking. I remember seeing that thinking, yeah, this guy's a killer. I didn't think he'd be what he is now. I mean, I don't think anybody did. I mean, just think about free agency a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, when he got signed for basically what is a steal of a contract now that we look back on it. But the Knicks are everything that is right about the NBA. I was kind of railroading the NBA last week. What they've done, the crowds, the team, how they seem to be a true team without, this super team where guys are getting traded in left and right. It's just a group of guys that love playing for each other. And I love rooting for him. Jalen Brunson, probably number 1 player in the league behind LeBron James in terms of players I love to watch. How do you not appreciate how he plays? Not the fastest guy on the court, not the most athletic, definitely not the biggest, but I don't know, somehow just gets it done and puts the ball through the rim. You're spot on, Ted. They are the number 1 team right now in the playoffs to watch.
They're fun. And we've talked about it before, and you know how I stand on it. I start watching when the playoffs begin, and it's so fun to see these world-class athletes play both ends of the court. You know,
Right.
I mean, they play lockdown defense, and it's just a pleasure to watch that kind of basketball. And it's a shame you don't get it in the regular season as
Yeah.
much, but that's just the way it is, you know.
Yeah, come playoff time. I mean, they're locked in on both sides. You guys are pulling for the Knicks. Honestly, yes, since the Lakers are out, I'm pulling for the Mavericks. I don't know why. I really like watching Luka Doncic, and
Mhm.
you know, Kyrie is just, you talk about like,
He's playing awful good.
I mean, he is
Yeah.
playing so well, and just his handles. I've never been like a Kyrie fan, but he's so fun to watch, the stuff that he does on the court. I saw a quote from Joker after they lost last night. They basically asked him like, what can you do to beat? Because yeah, the Timberwolves have two really big guys, Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, two big guys. They call them like the Twin Towers, you know, whatever. And he was like, I basically need a clone duplicate of myself, you know, basically saying like,
Right.
I don't know what we're gonna do, because if you watched that game last night, and I watched it, he was gassed. I mean, he's not necessarily LeBron James as far as his fitness goes, you know, but like he's obviously a top level
Right.
athlete.
Yeah.
But you could tell he was gassed, having to play offense and guard Gobert and Towns on defense, go up and down the court. So I honestly, going into this, I didn't think the Timberwolves were going to beat the Nuggets. They might beat the Nuggets, because I don't know what the Nuggets are going to do. So I'm pulling for the Mavs, though.
What an awesome series that will be, though. It's gonna, honest God, it's gonna say a lot about Jokic.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Edwards is like, if he loses, it's like, oh, he's still, you know, a year or two away from really being,
Right.
you know, I mean, people are comparing him to Michael Jordan already.
Wow.
He plays a lot like him. It's hard not to draw that comparison. But if you're Jokic, man, this is your title to win. If you want to be known as one of the all-time greats, I mean, he's probably going to win his third MVP coming up here. One of maybe 5 guys who have won 3 MVPs. You got to win this series. You got to win the title this year, in my opinion, for me to view you up in that light. I just got one topic on NBA. And Matt, I'll be curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. Obviously, the Lakers, man.
Yeah.
I feel like Darvin Ham. Again, every time they cut to him on mic'd up segments, was I always blown away with what he had to say in the huddle? No, but I'll be honest. I think he got totally railroaded in this situation when he got fired. He's a Saginaw guy. I always got to stand up for our Mid-Michigan guys. But at the end of the day, and I say this in the nicest way possible, Rob Pelinka is and always has been the problem there, in my opinion. I mean, his off-season moves have never made sense. I was shitting on LeBron and saying how he's not the same player. Dude, he showed up in that series. Him and Anthony Davis, they had no help around him. You got Anthony Davis talking about the rotations and post-game, just like a loser mentality. I hated hearing that. At the end of the day, it's the roster construction that the Lakers had that ended up being their downfall. I mean, think about some of the moves Pelinka has made. Traded for Westbrook. At the time, everyone's like, this makes 0 sense. He did it anyway. Yeah. Let Caruso walk, 2-3 years ago. This is kind of a little cherry picking, but didn't draft Jaime Jaquez, and instead has kind of drafted these sort of projects. I mean, Max Christie was a Michigan State Spartan. I think he's been on the Lakers for like 3 or 4 years now as this quote unquote projects. Like, dude, has this guy ever even touched the floor? Will he ever touch the floor? I don't think he deserves to touch the floor, in my opinion. No. You're LeBron James, Anthony Davis. You need pieces that can help you now. Drafting projects like Max Christie just flat out made no sense at the time, and now it looks even dumber. He's played 2 years now. He's bitching about not having a role in this squad. Now I'm seeing that the head candidate that's coming around to be the potential replacement is JJ Redick. I love JJ Redick. He's probably my favorite media member. The fan in me and wants to see him coach them. But I just know it's going to end the same way Darvin Ham's tenure ended, with a shitty roster that, because it's LeBron, and part of this is LeBron's fault. If LeBron came to Darvin Ham's defense, he's not getting canned. But I just hate how that all unfolded, and that was a perfect microcosm of what I hate about the NBA right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. JJ Redick would be an interesting move to hire as head coach for the Lakers, because him and LeBron have that podcast now, so they're obviously buddies. He's basically a genius when it comes to breaking down basketball, but he's never coached. So you think about Steve Nash came out of nowhere and was head coach of the Nets a few years ago after never being a coach. And it was a complete train wreck. And you have to wonder if it would be the same thing if JJ Redick just went from being never coached in your life to now you're head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That does not seem like a good move. You guys know I'm not like a LeBron super fan. I respect him. I'm not a hater. But you have to, like, people started breaking down. He runs off basically every coach he's ever had. It seems like everywhere he goes, whenever they don't win a title, it's the coach's fault. Coach is out. Coach is out. And you talk about roster construction with Pelinka. Obviously, yes, he's the one running the Lakers. But the Westbrook move was LeBron wanted Westbrook. The Anthony Davis move obviously has worked out. AD is playing. I mean, he's one of the best in the league. But like everyone else, right? They talked about going against the Nuggets in the playoffs just now when they lost. They didn't have any other big guy to bring off the bench. I mean, they had no backup center. Think about like in the bubble when they won the title. They had Dwight Howard. They had even JaVale McGee from Flint, Michigan. They had some back centers. This team right now, they talked about the only guys they brought off the bench were like Dinwiddie, and it was guards. The only people that they brought off the bench. And when you're going against Jokic and whoever else, of course Anthony Davis is going to get tired. When you got no one that can give you a few minutes to take a break.
Well, especially in Denver.
Right. Yeah. You're talking about the altitude. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, roster construction was a mess, but we talked about it last week or the week before with the NBA, how it's a players' league. And no, Darvin Ham should not have got fired, in my opinion. I mean, he's a good coach, and it was a terrible roster. It's always going to be the coach's fault. What are they going to do? Release LeBron? They're not going to do that. No. They're not going to cut Anthony Davis.
Sorry, why are they not making these moves at GM? What am I missing about this guy? I mean, all I need to know about him, he was lacing up and playing you in Gus Mackers 30 years ago. That's all I need to know. Now he's controlling LeBron's career. It's like, what are we talking about?
The big thing is he's Kobe's agent. So he's him and Kobe are like
he's
boys.
Immortal forever there.
Yeah. He basically, I think he might even have been like godfather to one or two of Kobe's kids. So he's got that Laker connection. The Bus family and Pelinka are like best friends. So they're never getting rid of him.
Well, you guys could probably give me a little more input on this. Is Pelinka making these moves without any input from LeBron? You already laid out the Westbrook thing. No. It wouldn't make sense to me that he's not consulting LeBron.
Right. LeBron wanted Westbrook. I mean, that was well documented. He wanted Westbrook. That didn't work out. So they were able to get D'Angelo Russell, who's a good NBA player, but he is just so streaky. One game, 20 points, 6 threes. Next game, 0 for 7, nothing. And it's just like, that's not going to work. So
I was just going to say, I got a couple comments. I think Redick's going to probably take the job. If I was his advisor, I'd probably say, stick where you're at. Isn't he on the top NBA broadcast team right now? Now, I understand that it might be leaving, the Disney family. Maybe we'll see what happens, but
I think he just wants to be back in the game. He wants to be coaching. Right. It sounds like he misses it. It's like media, it's like it's a good filler just because he's JJ Redick's going to work hard, going to be great at it. The Lakers, just like if your first foray into NBA coaching, and he's got this weird relationship where like LeBron's like essentially is one of his good buddies. It just seems like a disaster waiting to unfold. Again, I'd be watching it every step of the way. And as a fan, I'd be rooting for it. But as a fan of JJ Redick, I'm with you. It's like I'm an advisor. Why in God's green earth would you take that job?
Yeah,
right. And then the other NBA question I have for you guys is, what in the hell is the deal with this Pat Beverly? What kind of problem does he have?
That was bizarre. I love Patrick Beverly. I really do. I love everything about him, but I don't know the throwing the ball back and forth. That was weird to say the least. But like the whole thing in the locker room, just like he came across like an asshole. It's like, what are you? Like, I don't. There's no other way to put it. He came across as an asshole. He's gonna get suspended into oblivion next year, probably because of that and the throwing the ball back and forth, the fan incident. It's just bizarre. Like it just was. I don't even know what to like. I don't know if he was trying to be funny or if maybe there's like some roots and that's why he didn't like the reporter or the producer. I think it was like maybe there's like something that happened a long time ago that lingered. I don't know. That was up though. Another way to really.
Just a weird episode, man.
I mean, he's guys. Sorry, Matt. How about the media members around? Just go ahead, man. Get out of the circle. It's like, all right, put it on Beverly. Somebody stand up to this guy.
Right.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird exchange because the weird part about it too is she's like a very, very high up ESPN producer, and he's made appearances on ESPN. Like last offseason, he was on Get Up all the time and First Take. So I would think that he knows her, and booking him as a guest or whatever he does for ESPN. I would think that they've crossed paths at some point. Maybe not, but she's as well respected as anyone in sports media. So for him to do that to her, you obviously saw on social media, everyone came to her defense and was dude, Beverly, you're an idiot. What are you doing? I saw ESPN already said that he's banned from being on any ESPN show. So he lost his I guess chance to be on ESPN. He could still obviously go on any other network if he wants to, but
he's been on First Take. He's doing great on First Take. Like, it is kind of a bummer. And like Stephen A. Smith was saying, like, I like this guy, but like there's no defending what that tirade was. It was so bizarre.
I caught wind that he's not the most pleasant person to work with on when he comes on those shows. He comes in acting like he is Stephen A. Smith. You bring him up. But he's entertaining when he's on those shows because he just says whatever the heck he wants. But he burned that bridge.
No doubt about that. Just real quick thought. We're recording this on Sunday night. And NHL is just waiting for one more team to move into the next round. Dallas and Vegas are going at it in a Game 7, and we've talked about it before. There's nothing like hockey Game 7s, man. I know when I came down to record, I told my wife, I said, hey, Game 7's on. She has it on watching it. Nothing like it.
Yeah, I mean, last night, the Maple Leafs, two of the original 6 teams, the Maple Leafs and the Bruins played a great Game 7, went to overtime, and the Bruins ended up winning. The Carolina Hurricanes down here, formerly the Hartford Whalers, obviously, but the Hurricanes, they're a legitimate franchise. They're still in the playoffs. They'll be playing the Rangers. They played earlier today. I didn't see if they won, but they started their series versus the Rangers today. It just stinks because the capital of North Carolina is Raleigh, and that's where the Hurricanes are. And it's like 2-3 hours from Charlotte. So it's like just far enough to where to drive up there just for a game and then drive back. It's like, I don't know if I can do that. If they were here in Charlotte, I'd be trying to go to games all the time because, hockey games are like when the Red Wings come to town, I would try and go.
They are so fun.
Yeah.
I haven't been watching the NHL playoffs or whatever. I don't know. I tried. I just can't really get into it. But one moment I will say that was awesome. Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know who the player was, but he had it must have been like a free shot. And it was just him and the goalie.
Oh,
and
the slow motion one?
Slowest approach I've ever seen. And it was just so funny. The crowd is dead silent as he's making this approach. And then as soon as it goes in, the crowd just explodes. I just thought it was like one of the cool. We were talking about the Brunson moment. That rivals the Brunson moment. That was awesome.
That was classic. Let's go to another topic, and this one it's a weird topic. The Tigers. Okay, they lost today to the Yankees. The game was shortened because of rain. They're now 18-16, which really when you look at it, it's not that bad. I mean, it's not a bad spot to be in, but we've talked about it many times. I don't know what they're going to do as far as getting the sticks going. I mean, Baez 183, Rogers 172, Torkelson, 205. He had a couple doubles today. Maybe he'll bounce out of it, but these averages are so anemic. Meadows 100. I mean, I don't know. We are in May now, so it's kind of tough to say, it'll turn around. I don't know what to do.
We've kind of said it a few times, like, eventually the bats will wake up. The bats will wake up. Like you said, we're approaching mid-May. Usually by June, definitely by July, if you're kind of out of the race, you're basically out of it. So yes, they're 18-16. They're only like 3 or 4 games out of first place in the Central because the Central is just that bad. So, in theory, with the pitching that they have, I mean, Tarek Skubal, he's the leader in the house for Cy Young in the American League. Some of the other starters are playing well. The bullpen is good. It's just the offense is so bad. I mean, it's not they need one more bat or they just only need Torkelson to wake up. It's like, no, outside of Riley Green, no one is noteworthy on offense. Riley Green is legit. He's probably going to be the lone all-star. Well, no, Skubal will be an all-star, but I bet Riley Green will be an all-star for the Tigers, and that's it because no one else on offense is doing anything to make these. I can't imagine going out there as a starting pitcher and being like, if you give up one run, you're like, I'm basically screwed.
Oh yeah, I mean they're getting the pitching. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
But the hitting, Perez though, I like this kid Perez. He's the new Baду, maybe.
I don't know if that's saying much.
I mean, he was up I think number 3 in the lineup.
Batting third.
Yankee series. it's a bummer of a series, man. They got swept. I don't.
Yep.
It felt like I think it would have been a different series. I mean, opening night, yeah, they just I don't know. They just can't get the bats going right now. It's hard to really argue anything else. They just can't get them going. But I mean, they're up 1-0 all game. Reese Olson pitches a gem, and then the Yankees walk it off in the bottom of the ninth. And I think it just kind of lingered over the rest of the series.
It
the
did.
rest of the day.
Yeah.
I will say though, I mean, Yankee Stadium. How do you not appreciate it? I don't know what Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium, looked like, but the way they mirrored it with the upper deck, kind of like with the same look. And when you look at Yankee Stadium from the outside, you're like, wow, that looks incredible. That's like baseball heaven in there. Man, I think you've been there, right?
Yeah, I've been to a couple games at old Yankee Stadium and new Yankee Stadium. Old Yankee Stadium is just, it is what it is. I wish they wouldn't have knocked it down. Kind of like Tiger Stadium. They shouldn't have knocked it down. They should have just kept it. The only you're spot on. Oh, new Yankee Stadium is incredible. It's a little too like corporate. I remember walking in there and it was almost like too nice. You know, you walk into a baseball stadium and it was like you don't want to like drop a peanut shell on the ground, or you don't want to. And there's too many like Wall Street people walking around in their suits and stuff. And it was like the stadium is amazing, but it almost doesn't feel right going to a baseball game. But it's still, I mean, it's Yankee Stadium, so it's awesome. But something's got to happen. I mean, talking about Torkelson, I mean, obviously he's just getting ripped apart right now. People are just talking about send him down. I saw Hinch basically said, like, I keep moving him down in the lineup. If I move him down anymore, he's going to be sitting next to me. Yeah, and, you know, like, there's only so much you can do. You got to keep playing him because, like, I've seen people even say, like, sending him down to Toledo, to AAA. I mean, what's that going to do at this point in his career? Like, go get more at bats, and yeah, maybe he starts hitting down there, but then he still has to come up to the major leagues and do it. So, like, is that really going to help benching him? Baseball is such a mental game. Is that going to mess with his, you know, his confidence? I'm sure his confidence is already shot. But like you said, Ted, maybe a game like today, 2 doubles, maybe he starts thinking, all right, that felt good. Let's go, because they need him. But
that situation is a conundrum. I've been thinking about it. I don't know what you do. I think you just go wait it out. You hope he bounces out of it, and just take your time. What else can you do? I don't. Like I said, I don't know what going to the minors. I don't know what that does. I don't know. Maybe sit him a couple games, but we'll see. Couple doubles today. Positive outlook. We'll see what happens, but a good sign. It's a beam of light. We've needed some in this batting lineup, so we got one.
Do we get concerned at all, though, about, you know, we've talked about they have a great pitching coach. What about their hitting coach? I mean, they're what are they doing? You know, what is the problem?
Because it's been this way. Because Torkelson, this is what, his 3rd or 4th year. So it's not like he's a rookie. Riley Green, a few years into the league. Some of these other guys, Javi Baez comes over, and yeah, I mean, he was never like a 320 hitter, but he's much worse than he was before he came to the Tigers. And it's just like, yeah, is it a hitting coach thing? Is it their approach?
Yeah. I don't
is
know.
it, you know, whatever they're doing in practice? Like, it just seems like something's up, because you also see guys leave the Tigers, go to other teams, and next thing you know, they're hitting 35 home runs. And it's like, what's going on here?
Well, again, they're 18 and 16. I do disagree a little bit with this year. The Central Division is pretty solid. I mean, they got 4 good teams right now. If you look at their records, you know, throughout the White Sox, they're as good as any division.
Twins are on like a 12 or 13 game winning streak right now.
Right.
Yeah, it could be a fun division down the stretch. Tigers just got to stay alive.
That's right.
3-4 games back. Can't let it drop further than that, man.
All right. Now I got one question for you guys that I know you'll have an opinion on, because you both are into fashion. What in the hell, Nike this year, what did they come up with the baseball uniforms? I am just totally shocked. They look cheap. They look cheap.
Fanatics. Yeah.
Riley Green's had his pants ripped twice already.
I saw that. Yeah.
It's Fanatics. I don't know what
it's
the
not
deal.
Nike. It's Fanatics.
Nike takes the hit for it. I don't understand what Fanatics is compared to Nike, but it was a blunder. It was an absolute blunder. They're addressing it. I don't understand how you come out with jerseys different colored than the pants. That's like something that would happen. That if I showed up to a youth basketball game and that happened to my team, you'd be laughing at a youth basketball game.
Right.
I think in the pro baseball leagues, it's like, what is going on? That is a topic that everyone is in 100% agreement on. What the F did they do to these jerseys? They're horrible.
Yeah.
It's almost, like Nike is the sponsor, but I think they're being like produced through Fanatics.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like they just went cheap.
Yeah.
And they're trying to save a buck, but I mean, they're terrible. they're see-through. Guys are ripping them, like you said, Riley Green.
This
different
jersey, I
colors.
got it. Meyer is better quality in what they're wearing.
Exactly.
I'm not kidding. All right. That's enough on that.
Okay,
Let's
nothing to add to that.
hopefully you guys got something on Tedertainment. I got a couple things I want to talk about, and we'll jump into that right after this.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? Look no further. Introducing AZee Branding Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. At AZee, we're committed to helping businesses and organizations like yours reach new heights. Our full-service print and digital branding agency is your one-stop destination for all things branding. Need a stunning web or graphic design that captures your essence? We've got you covered. Want captivating social media content that engages your audience? Done. And that's not all. We're experts in video production and photography, ensuring your brand tells a compelling visual story. Plus, we specialize in screen printing and embroidery, turning your brand into wearable art that speaks volumes. Whether you're a startup or an established business, AZee is here to transform your brand dreams into reality. Ready to grow with us? Partner with AZee today and experience the difference. Visit our website at www.azee.co or give us a call at 1-844-360-AZEE. AZee Branding Solutions, where your success begins.
Rivals Taphouse and Grille is the area's go-to spot for the best in food and drink. Meet up with your friends and catch your favorite sporting events on over 20 high-def flat-screen TVs
and our 120-inch projection screen.
Rivals can handle your large or small parties and is an awesome spot to put on your fundraising events. Weekly food and drink specials including gourmet burgers, wings, pizza, homemade soup, and salads. Rivals also stocks a large selection of craft and domestic brews. Rivals Taphouse and Grille, the official gathering spot of 3 Point Podcast, located on the corner of Shiawassee and M21 in Corunna.
All right, I got a movie. It's on Netflix. I want to talk about it. I will no way in hell recommend it to Jared. Might be a borderline movie for Matt.
Oh,
but
God.
I enjoyed the living crap out of it, and so did my siblings. This is directed probably more at my age group, boomers, okay? And it's the flick called Unfrosted on Netflix. Okay, Jerry Seinfeld put it together, has a great cast. Rotten Tomatoes didn't give it a high recommendation.
I know it's bad. I already know it's bad.
Okay,
that movie, I already know it's bad.
Well, it's bad for your age group. I'm going to tell you, I was talking to one of your friends. I won't say his name. He said he lasted 15 minutes. Okay. And my wife and I thought it was funny as hell. I mean, you guys got to realize, okay, growing up in the 60s, this movie's about Pop-Tarts. Okay. And it's a satire. There's jokes all over the place about Kellogg's and Post cereal. I grew up in a family where our refrigerator was not wide open. We did not have free reign to the fridge, but we did have free range to cereal. We could have a bowl of cereal anytime we wanted to, right? And we always had Wheaties, Cheerios, or cornflakes. It was a very special treat when we had anything with sugar on it. But this movie, it was so funny. It just brought me back to 1964 when Pop-Tarts were invented. Like I said, complete satire, jokes flying everywhere, great cast. I loved it, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it to Jared's age group. So have you guys thought about watching it at all?
I didn't know it was out because I saw Jerry Seinfeld has been making the rounds. He was on Rich Eisen. He was on SNL. Yeah. He's been on a bunch of other shows promoting it. And I thought it was still a couple weeks or a week or two away. So I definitely want to watch it. I like Seinfeld a lot, Jim Gaffigan and the whole cast on it.
Great cast.
It's a great cast of comedians. I didn't know much about the plot. I didn't know that's kind of what it was. I knew something about Pop-Tarts. That's all I knew. So I will definitely watch it because I like all those comedians. And if it is a little bit of a time travel back to those days, maybe it could be really good. I'm looking forward to it.
And it is somewhat, I'll just tell you right now, the humor is pretty corny, but there's a lot of different jokes. I mean, you know, it's worth even watching the characters that play Snap, Crackle, and Pop. I mean, just that alone. But I give it a high praise. I thought it was really well done.
What's it rated? Is it like dirty? Is it rated R comedy or is it like
no? Okay. I'd say
PG-13.
PG-13, yeah.
No, I'm definitely going to watch it. Like I said, I didn't know it was out yet, so I will be watching it at some point here.
Is it
Yeah.
set in Michigan?
What's that?
Is it set in Michigan? I mean, where Kellogg's would be?
Oh yeah, Battle Creek. They talk about Battle Creek. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Here's my I saw the trailer.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think it looked that good. I'll take your word for it. You didn't say it was
I'm not
kinda like
recommending it to you. I'm going to
yeah,
stop you right there. I'm not
Right.
giving you any recommendation.
I will say I've never understood the Jerry Seinfeld
Oh,
obsession. I mean,
Okay.
dude, he rode Larry David hard to where big time. From what I understand, I've never seen Seinfeld, but the clips I see, the effer who is funny on that show is George Costanza.
Yeah.
It's not Jerry Seinfeld. So I've never got it with him.
All right.
Apparently, ironically enough, since Seinfeld, what has he done? Rested on his laurels. I
Yep.
don't know. So I never really understood it. What do you have a defense of that, or what?
Yeah.
Oh no, I would say this. I thought Seinfeld was a good show. It's funny. I was just having a discussion with one of our friends that were out here last night. I said, I know he's a huge Seinfeld show fan, and I liked Seinfeld a lot. But I said Seinfeld or The Office, and I'm an Office guy. Okay, that's what I would take. Jerry Seinfeld in stand-up, though, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He puts on a great stand-up show. I mean, he's had, I don't know, probably if you look it up on Netflix, there's probably 4 or 5 you could go to. Really funny. So
Yep. I mean, you know the deal with comedy too. It's all like whatever your taste is, because some
Yep.
people think The Office there's nothing funny about it. And that doesn't matter if it's an episode that I've seen 5 times. I still crack up at The Office. Same with Seinfeld. It's a certain kind of humor, I guess, that you have to have for Jerry Seinfeld, because I've heard people say that too. His stand-up is incredible, even like recently, not
Right.
just back in the 90s or whatever. So no, I will definitely watch Unfrosted for sure.
And I got one other one just throwing on the table. We've talked about when I went to the IMAX and watched the Queen concert. Well, I just had a chance to watch the Billy Joel number 100, his 100th show at Madison Square Garden on CBS, and you can watch it on Paramount Plus. Well done. Tremendous. I had a chance to see him at Comerica Park a couple of years ago. Pretty much the same show, but it's just hard to believe the guy's 75 years old, almost 75, and still sounded as good as he did. So that was very enjoyable. If you're a Billy Joel fan, definitely, if you hadn't had a chance to watch it, check it out.
Yeah, Billy Joel would be fun. That's one concert that we've said that'd be one to check out, like one more time before he really hangs it up. Right? It's one of those. Yeah, you don't think about how many hits he actually has. Once he starts going through the catalog, it's like, wow.
Yeah, there wasn't a dud. There wasn't a dud song in the mix, so it was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
How about you guys?
I know one thing we were talking about before we started recording. So again, we're recording on Sunday night. There's a live roast of Tom Brady happening on Netflix. Kevin Hart is the host and a bunch of his former teammates. I saw a clip. Bill Belichick did an open with Drew Bledsoe and acted like he benched Bledsoe for Tom Brady again. So, they're playing off of that.
Oh yeah.
I saw a couple other clips from some of the people. So I'll be curious. You can go back and watch it. It's not like you can only watch it if it was live, but I'll be curious to go back and watch that. Cause those roasts, like we were saying, sometimes they don't hold back and they get pretty personal and they really get into your personal life or whatever. So I'll be curious to see what kind of jokes they make about Tom Brady. Is that something you think you guys would watch?
I'm watching it for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Like we were talking a little bit before the pod, and it's like I don't know. He's such a kind of a flawless character. It would seem like on the surface that I'll be curious to see what dirt they kind of dig up on him, or what the people that know him best might maybe reveal some things to us that we never knew before.
Yeah, and let's see if they do it true Comedy Central roast style, because those roasts could get just totally brutal. I don't know if they'll go that far on Brady or not. I'll be very interested to see.
That's what I mean. It's almost like if you sign up for one of those roasts, you better know that there's going to be some stuff that might come out that you didn't want to come out. So, because you see some of them, they don't end that well. People get offended and they're like, nope, this is done.
Oh, you got to have some thick skin. I could never get roasted like that. No way. I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, no, it'd be tough. Show that we're halfway through watching. I'll be curious if Jared has seen this, or even you too, Ted. But because it became like a trendy, a hot show to watch on Netflix. Baby Reindeer. Have you guys seen that at all?
I did see it. Yes.
Yeah, it's So you said you did see it, Jared?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to ask because you said what was the movie that won all the awards at the Oscars that you couldn't even get it through that Ted and I
Dude,
watched?
this
Pretty
show,
Things?
I would say
Yes.
the difference. This show had some heart. This show wasn't the like Oscar bait crap. This is a true real life story.
Right.
That the guy who is and I'm not stealing your thunder. I'll just lead it on this. The guy who is the main actor in that show is who the show is all about. Like that's what I thought was like really the coolest part about it.
Can you give me a little snippet without giving things away? I mean, what's it about?
So it's about a guy that ends up having a stalker, and it kind of really starts to go sideways, and there's a bunch of crazy stuff. I wasn't comparing it to that movie that Jared was not a fan of, that Ted, you and I watched, but it's a little twisted. It's a little crazy. The stalker stuff is wild. There's some twists that are like, this is kind of insane in that sense. It's not just your typical drama. Or it's not just, like a rom-com or something like that. There's just some crazy stuff. Each episode is only a half hour, so like you can really knock it out quickly. But the acting is really good. Yeah, I guess I didn't know that. It's based on a true story. I didn't know that the main guy is who the true.
That's got to be a little bit of a mind blower now that you hear that. Yeah,
that makes me want to like go back and start over and watch it. But no, it's a super great acting. You always talk about the writing, Ted. I think the writing is really good. It's actually funny, but it's also like kind of crazy because of the stalker stuff. So yeah, Baby Reindeer on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm with you. I recommend. I forgot I even watched that. I'll throw out my quick Tedertainment real quick, and then maybe we wrap her up. But I never. It's a perfectly kind of well done. You could tell that this is like this guy's passion project, like his real life. Like he's like kind of a struggling comedian in the show. And like you said, it's just so well written, so well like produced, like edited, everything about it. Just 3 stars. Wild story. Definitely, like you said, kind of takes some dark turns. So I would be prepared for that. But I'm 100% recommend that Baby Reindeer. Just kind of a wild story to think about. If you actually think of that premise, you have a stalker. Like genuinely think about, like you hear stories about that, but like you kind of put yourself in the shoes of somebody genuinely has a stalker. It's kind of just wild.
Wow. Yeah. And and you said it's a true story based off a true story.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's got like the main character's like kind of narrating you through it. I think it's like kind of based off of one of his stage acts, or like essentially he had a great stage act and went viral. And
I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Actually like it. It's right up your alley.
Yeah.
I just got one real quick. I didn't even finish the movie, but it's more of just a kind of a comment, I guess, than anything. So there's this that we've been seeing this kind of wave of these like popular celebrity rom-coms. Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell in what is it? Anyone But You.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 3 big ones that I'm kind of blanking on.
Sydney Sweeney?
Yeah, there's that one, and there's a couple other ones that have been coming out recently.
Voyeurs?
Zendaya, Challengers. The third one, like Anne Hathaway, and the movie is Idea of You. Basically, it's about how she's like this 40-year-old mom goes to a concert, falls in love with this boy band guy type story. I didn't even finish it, but basically the whole premise is what I'm going to say of this segment is Anne Hathaway is 41 years old. I don't know how she's like in pristine shape. It looks like she would be 20 years old. Like I'm looking at it right now. I love The Devil Wears Prada. Great flick. That came out in 2006. So that was 20 years ago. She was 21 in the movie. She's 41 now. Still looks exactly the same. It's just mind-boggling, man. It was not a great movie, but it's a good reminder of it's a popcorn flick. Get the popcorn, sit and enjoy it. 2 hot people, in this rom-com, just enjoy it. So I just felt it was worth a watch. I appreciated it, but more so just the kudos to Anne Hathaway. Kind of underrated, I feel like. Kind of goes under the radar, but she's great in Interstellar. And I thought she was pretty good in this movie for what it was.
Yeah, she's kind of the poor woman Julia Roberts, kind of is what she reminds me of. Yeah, she's very good, I think. It keeps herself in shape. That's good. Like my wife would say, yeah, when you got that kind of money, you can use personal trainers all the time.
Right.
That's how they look so good.
And when you're training for a role or, whatever, where you have to be fit, like what Zac Efron for the wrestling movie, it's like, all right, well,
I still got to see that. I'm still waiting for it to come out free.
Oh yeah, you're gonna really like that one. That's gonna be good.
I get challenges, but it's also like, what are the magic? Like, what magic potions do they? I got personal trainer, I guess, but I don't know. It's also like what I don't know. They're eating healthy. They're taking great care of themselves.
Absolutely,
it's impressive.
It is. Before we sign off, fellas, just kind of another weird story on Britney Spears. Did you catch that this last week?
I did not.
I don't know if I've seen a new one.
Oh yeah, she had another episode. She was in LA at the Chateau Marmont that got a fight with her boyfriend or something. They had the psychiatric team had to come and take her away. She had no clothes on other than pants.
Oh, jeez.
It was pretty. It's somebody's got to help her out. I think the way it's looking. And she apparently, if this is a true story, she had like $60 million. You know, when she got to take over her life again, she's been spending $1 million a week of that kitty, going to Hawaii, spending all kinds of money. I mean, people can spend money if they want to, but it's just things aren't looking real good for her right now.
I'll say, I mean, the villains in that, like the whatever.
We know what you mean. Caretakers, let's call it.
Yeah, like they were the big time villains in that, and that's like, I don't know, maybe they were onto something that she probably should have somebody looking out for. I don't know. Maybe the dad always seemed kind of evil, so maybe not him. But yes, I don't know. What a weird.
It's a sad situation.
Sad story.
Yeah, we none of us could relate to it because we got good family background. Our families would take care of us if we were in need like that.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, what went sideways? Were there mental issues? You know, did some drugs come involved, or like was it some deeper demons? You know, abuse as a kid or something like that has come out. Like, it just, you know, when you think about, I mean, that's my generation. Ted, you definitely remember when she broke onto the scene. I mean, Britney Spears, everyone knew every single song that hit the radio of Britney Spears. And the mega of the biggest mega star that you can think of was Britney Spears when she came out there for, you know, a good 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
And even when after she went psycho, when she was still doing, sorry, I shouldn't say when she went psycho and, you know, whatever happened with her, she was still doing shows in Vegas and they were like selling out like crazy. So even after, you know, all of her issues and stuff, everyone was still going to see her shows. And it's just like, yeah, like what went sideways? Is there drug abuse? Is there just some very deep mental issues that people are taking advantage of her, you know, and stuff like that? So she's been married like 4 or 5 times now. So you got to wonder, are guys just marrying her to try and get her money? You know, it's really a shame.
It really is. And hopefully she gets the help that's needed because, you know, you don't want to see another like Marilyn Monroe or something like that happen, you know, where all of a sudden she's not there, or Michael Jackson, you know, it just goes on in Hollywood. That's for sure. Yeah. All right. We'll leave it there. I would definitely let's close this thing. We want to thank Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Make sure you talk to a rep or go online, see what discounts are available for memberships. Make sure you get yourself healthy, get in shape. Also want to thank our other partners, AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. And of course, Success Group, operated by Jim Woodworth, and we definitely got to mention Randy Woodworth, his brother, going through some trials and tribulations right now, health-wise, and we definitely want him to know we're with him, and definitely they can use your best thoughts out there for Randy. So hang in there, big guy. Also want to mention Chi-Town, big road trip this weekend, May 9th through the 11th, backed by popular demand in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the Tequila Cowboy. In fact, I'm going to go out and catch their show Thursday night. We're going to go out and visit Amy this weekend, so we'll stop in Pittsburgh and check out the boys.
It'll be a freaking blast. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's a great venue too, that Tequila Cowboy there in Pittsburgh. Can't go wrong there. Make sure you follow us on the socials at 3 Point Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you have any comments you want to send along, hit us up at email at 3pointpod@gmail.com. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. Thanks for listening.